West Ham 0, Manchester City 4. Still, not the 4-3 you predicted, not the 1-0 victory I predicted. I bet you sang the song, we're going to win 4-3. Talk me through what your thoughts are on the game today.
Well, I mean, none of us expected anything from this game. We all said that before the game. We all said that, leading up to it. And when we saw the team selection, we were we're even more disheartened, I guess, with Masuaku and Antonio starting in the team. But look at the stats, and we had our chances. But the truth of the matter is, they had 4 shots on target. They scored 4 goals. We had 7 shots in total, and we scored none. And that's the story of the game. So having had, hang on a minute.
They're fucking offside goals as well.
Yes, they were, mate. Go on.
That fucking third goal was offside. Antonio should be ashamed of himself. Fucking useless.
Keep going for it. Tell me your thoughts on it, mate. Tell me your thoughts on Antonio.
You said, what are your thoughts? Your thoughts overall?
Why did he start? Why did he leave on Antonio on? Why did he not sub him? I do not understand that.
Yeah.
Why was Antonio left on the pitch? I do not understand.
What about Masuaku?
Masuaku was terrible. All three goals in the first half came from his side.
Exactly.
And they knew our weakness, and they exploited it. Masuaku was the weak link, and they did exactly what we all thought they'd do by exploiting that weak link.
Well, that's exactly right. There are 2 men on him on the other side. I felt sorry for Zabaleta, who was trying to work out who to defend, trying to work out who to play.
What did we actually expect? I mean, myself and Stel just said before the game, we were more optimistic rather than expecting a result.
I'm not sure if you were at the game, but those with benefit of TV and so on probably know their third goal was definitely offside, and I thought the second one as well. If those decisions are wrong and hadn't gone against us, we may have had a better chance. But we weren't getting in their faces. We weren't just weren't good enough. They had 3 half chances, and they scored from each one of them.
Yeah.
And what was Pellegrini's thoughts in lining up with the way he did and in the formation that he did, especially against a free-flowing Manchester City team?
Well, he went with a 4-4-2, and maybe that's not a bad thing, but I think it's the players that he chose to play in that 4-4-2.
Antonio's been off of it for ages. Yeah. Lazy.
Weirdly, Antonio kind of improved near the end of the game.
But that camera back onto you still, just 2 seconds. Can't see you. That's it.
Weirdly, Antonio improved coming to the end of the game, but he went 80 minutes to actually start, to wake up.
Yeah.
And with Masuaku, I mean, how many times have we said Masuaku's not a left back, and it's a strange one. I think we spoke earlier before the game that both Masuaku and Creswell are carrying knocks. If that's the case, we badly need a left back in the January transfer window.
Absolutely. Something I've been calling out for is maybe a change in formation, but not specifically against Manchester City, who have got players lining up left, right and centre. For me personally, let's go into the game. I thought the first 20 minutes we were okay. We managed to, shut up shop a little bit for Manchester City, even though, well, when I say shut up shop, they scored 2 goals in 20 minutes. So we were, it just wasn't, the free-flowing football that Man City were playing. We had chances, but didn't concede.
Not seeing it from the TV perspective and being at the stadium, I can't see where we were good in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we were. I think you kind of.
We stood off them.
Yeah, exactly, John. We stood off them throughout the whole first half, gave them far too much respect, and as John said, they had 3 half chances and they scored from all 3. That's the big difference between.
Literally passed the ball into the net.
Yeah.
When it was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they literally did. I mean, when you look at Sane's goal, I mean, let's not take away the fact that it was we know they've got a class team. We've been defeated 4-0, but you look at some of their other results, and we probably predicted a review like this. I think the best thing we could have got out of this was, well, obviously a victory or a draw, but we've not conceded more than 4. As you look at other teams that have come up against them, Southampton, 6 goals have been conceded. I mean,
after
you
30
can't. In the 90th
minute, but Ant, you can't compare us to those teams. Having spent the money we spent. Having spent the money we spent in the summer, we should not be looking at our stats against the likes of Southampton, etc. We're meant to be doing better. Yeah, Wolves got a point off them, you know, and we looked like nothing close. Don't get me wrong, none of us expected to get a result today. It was more that it was exactly. It's the manner of the way we played, and as John pointed out, in the first half we stood off them, we gave them too much respect, and they took advantage of that. And in the second half we did play better, but then they had nothing to play for. You know, they took the foot off the pedal. You know, they weren't as pressing as they were in the first half, and it made us look better. You know, but we were marginally better in the second half.
One thing I did notice as well, that with Man City, you could tell every time they didn't have the ball, there were 10 men behind the ball. They had 10 men behind the ball every time we had it. Yeah. And I thought that made it difficult for us to get anything.
Talk to me
about, we just
John,
seemed to suss it.
John, talk to me about substitutions, because there didn't seem to be the right choices. Diangana in particular, because I thought he had a decent game up until the point he
did. Was he just taking him off because we weren't getting anything on the wing?
Yeah, I, to be honest, I don't think really anyone really particularly knew, because up until that point Antonio wasn't performing, and for me the realistic person to come off would have been Antonio and drop Diangana back, or keep Diangana in that position. You know, it didn't.
Yeah. Chicharito came on, which I was puzzled by. Couldn't work it out. He did a bit of a running and got the ball a few times, but he was never going to get on the end of it and score a goal.
Not against that quality with the time he had.
No.
The Diangana substitution was an odd one, because we all thought at that time, like, you know, everybody, that Antonio was going to come off, and ironically, Antonio lasted the whole game. Yeah. You know, and the substitution, okay, fine, you know, if you want to bring on another forward and go for it, but Diangana would have been a better prospect to keep on, to try and feed the likes of Hernandez and Arnautovic, you know, rather than taking him off. It was an odd one, you know. The obvious one was Creswell. We knew that Masuaku couldn't stay on in the second half, so Creswell was an obvious one. The Diangana one was odd. The Perez one was odd as well, because actually we thought perhaps we might see 10 minutes of Andy Carroll, but we didn't get that either. So
I think
wonder as well.
John, just do me a favour, snip into the camera, will you? Just move around. That's it. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's it.
I wonder as well, does Pellegrini realise that we need a left back, and he don't like either, because all he does is he rotates them, he alternates them. One, you know, it's Masuaku, then it's Creswell, and the other way around, and so on.
To be honest with you, John, I don't think Pellegrini probably expected the amount of injuries we've had throughout the squad, and it's just showing the depth in squad.
Every season, injuries wreck everything, you know.
Yeah, and still, you mentioned earlier on, we shouldn't be comparing ourselves to Southampton, but the point I always state is we're 3 years behind where we should be. So,
yeah, we are, mate.
Where teams have been playing and spending the money the past 3 seasons, we've not.
Yeah, I know. Look. No, this season is going to turn out to be a mediocre season. Yeah. You know, but having said that, we've now got a run of games that we need to start turning up for, and Pellegrini's got to start making some really, really hard choices about who's going to play.
Agree, because quick interruption. We played away to Newcastle last season or the season before. We got done 3-0 in a game which we expected to win.
Yeah.
We mustn't let that happen next week.
Yeah. Absolutely. And honestly, lads, you know, I'm not going to put the blame on one player or another, but, you know, Masuaku needs to be dropped. And, you know, I would rather see someone else backing up Creswell than Masuaku.
I would rather see Ogbonna.
Well, you know, I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to get into an argument with you.
Saying it.
But I'd rather see Ogbonna play at left back than Masuaku. Masuaku is, you know, and I think there was chat during the game in our WhatsApp group that, you know, oh, well, Masuaku's better going forward. He fucking ain't.
He ain't was better. In the first season. But
yeah, he was in the first season, but he ain't even got that in his locker anymore.
But we've got these players now, and I think we were to. But for any of you watching, you realise that John and Stell are actually outside the stadium just now. So we're just kind of hooking up and getting you some real instant reaction, which is what we want to do. Yeah, no, I think there's a time and a place, and players have come and have gone, and there's certain players there in our squad that we know that need to go, that maybe we've backed up for so long, and Masuaku's starting to show signs, and Antonio's showing signs that, you know, they're not going to take West Ham forward anymore. They've been there, they've done that. I'll thank Antonio for what he did in the past, but not for anything he's doing now.
Yeah,
Masuaku's not particularly, he's not sold himself through his whole career at West Ham, except for doing a couple of keepy-uppies, running forwards, doing a few tricks, nothing fantastic. So
you're right, and you're a lot more polite than we've been on the terraces today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He got slated today on the terraces, Masuaku, and Antonio as well. But we knew when the team was announced that the weaknesses were those two players.
Yeah.
We knew it. It was almost as if Pellegrini decided to play with 9 players. And it's such a shame because we didn't expect to get anything, but
do you think
it's the manner?
Do you think it is the manner? Do you think Pellegrini knew he wasn't going to get anything today?
Possibly, yeah. I think he probably.
And that's maybe the reason why he didn't even risk players like. And I'm not saying we're relying on him, but I feel like the season could end up being like this.
Has he given those players, this is your final chance? I won't play you at Newcastle. I'm going to test you in this game. Yeah. Maybe.
I can see the likes of Carroll warming up in the sidelines, dripping the stars, comes back to the north of England, plays Newcastle, gets some game time. I'm not saying, but I know still it's the typical West Ham way. It's relying on the player that we.
But you know my feelings on Carroll. That we spent £100 million and we're still relying on Andy Carroll. I mean, please, and you're right. It will happen. He'll come on in a game and he'll score a goal or two, or score a winner, and everyone's like, "Oh, our saviour's back." And then you know what's going to happen. End of the season, he'll be out injured again. It's typical Andy Carroll. If we're going to do anything with Andy Carroll, send him to the MLS in January. Otherwise, just let his contract run out and say thank you very much, arrivederci. Now we're going to use that £100,000 a week to go and get another striker in that's going to stay fit. I know it's not, it's unfortunate that he keeps getting injured, but we can't keep relying on players like him. We spent £100 million. I expect the board to spend another maybe 50-60 million in the summer, but we're going to see several players going. Pellegrini must know by now who he needs to keep and who he needs to get rid of.
Absolutely. Just a quick rundown of the game in particular. If there's any positives to take from the game, I'll give you a few. Anderson's corners were a lot better this time.
Except the short corner that led to their first goal.
You're right, John. You're totally right. Do you know what? That's the funny thing that contradicts the comment I just made. Yeah. His corners were fantastic. They were lethal.
Otherwise, yes.
But apart from that, he did fuck up with that corner that went straight for their second goal. Out with that, I thought big shout outs to Diangana and Declan Rice because. The two young lads, the tackles that Declan Rice was thrown in, I felt really sorry for Declan Rice and Diangana today because I felt like they were showing what it's like to play for West Ham and wore the club crest on their sleeves. Whereas another player, before we go, Arnautovic. Still, John, give me a quick opinion on Arnautovic today.
You start, John.
Wasn't given any real service, was he?
Look at around him.
Wasn't sure at the end. He pulled a muscle or something like that. I wasn't really sure. He had to go off 1 minute left. Before that, I think we had a couple of chances. He was almost there. Then again, so was Antonio. We didn't take those chances, but we didn't get a lot of chances. Not like we had 10. We had 1 or 2 chances, didn't take them. I'm not really going to slag them off for that because you get 1 or 2, you don't always get them, obviously. We're not as clinical as obviously they were.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. If we get offered 50 million for Arnautovic in January, sell him. Because as much as he's our talisman, etc., he's not really done much lately. He gets a strop on. He sort of kind of. At 1 minute he tries and next minute he seems to stop and give up and God knows what. Honestly, I know people won't like it, but if we get offered 50 mil, bite the hand off and go and spend it on someone else, even if we get a loan player in for the rest of the season, because there's something going on with Arnautovic. I know we said in the chat, WhatsApp chat, his head's been turned, and if his head has been turned, it means he's not quite there. So maybe cash in on him.
Still, I don't think, even with Arnautovic's comments on social media this week, whatever you want to believe, I don't think there's a player in that side within reason that wouldn't have their head turned if a bigger club came in who's
true. I agree. Yeah,
going to offer them a trophy or a chance at winning something. When it comes to Arnautovic, it's without going in deeper, it's just a similar scenario to the Payet situation. And can you we are West Ham fans. We want these players to play with passion. With just try. Just all we want is to try, not sulk, But when you try and you are the talisman and you are the main man for a while and there's no one else around you that's matching up to the standards that you're looking for, I'm not saying do you blame him for, you know, having a hissy fit, but do you blame him for having his head turned? Do you blame him for going out?
No, we don't blame him at all. You know, he wants his last chance at Champions League football. You know, he wants to play for a big team. Fair enough. Which is why I'm kind of saying, you know, if his head's been turned and if that's what he wants, then as much as it's going to hurt us, you know, let him go and then use that money, you know, to either buy someone in if there's someone available, or get a lone player in that's going to give us, you know, 5, 6, 7 goals for the season, because I can't see Arnautovic scoring many more than 5 or 6 more goals this season. You know, I don't know when the last. I actually lost count as to when he's last scored. You know, and it's been a few games now. And I'll
tell you what, guys, lads, we've got 7 really massive, important games coming up now before the end of the 2018. These are probably the most important of our season, and will dictate where we're going to be come near the end of the season. So let's just hope that Pellegrini's master plan of bringing this squad together can connect finally next week and we can go on a run. But we are West Ham and we know we're a part of this roller coaster that's up and down. So
I guess Noble may be reintroduced. He wasn't introduced today, was he? Curiously,
no,
sure
he wasn't.
He should have been,
but you know, we've done well without him apart from today.
Yeah. We've got Noble, Wilshere, Carroll in the wings. Be an interesting team selection. We've seen Pellegrini make several different choices throughout this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see another change again moving into next week, because Snodgrass will be back, etc. Still, and John, before you go, still just do a quick pan view of where you are, so everyone knows where we're at.
Cheers.
I'm not going to get an ear infection, am I?
No, I hope I don't get one either. Hang on, mate.
So just
you see a little bit of the stadium
just
there?
let everyone see it, just so you know. We are actually outside the stadium doing a review. Still, thanks for that, mate.
You, mate.
I'm going to go down
all right.
for a post-match pint.
See you later, John.
Good,
Thank you.
Take it easy, John. Still, thanks for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get the comments in. If you agree, disagree with any of our points, make sure you get them in below, because that's where we get the feedback and let us know how we move on forward. Gutted about the result today. I was optimistic, but the result has led me with the real life of a West Ham fan. Still, thanks for joining me, and
no worries.
Keep on following. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.